John, I know you're very much involved in vote stealing, and I'd love to hear what you and the two congressmen have to say about all the votes that were stolen in the previous election and why we haven't heard more screaming and yelling about it.
Look, you can cry over spilled milk or stolen votes in the past. I'm worried about the ones in the future. Democrats were very rattled by the November 3rd election results. What do liberals do when they lose elections? They change the rules. In January, Chuck Schumer and Barney Frank will propose universal voter registration. What is universal voter registration? It means all of the state laws on elections will be overridden by a federal mandate. The feds will tell the states, take everyone on every list of welfare recipients you have, take everyone on every list of unemployed you have, take everyone on every list of property owners, take everyone on every list of driver's license holders, and register them to vote regardless of whether they want to be.
And then they'll vote them.
And then, and by the way, there'll be felon reenfranchisement too. At that point, you have destroyed the integrity of the registration process. Now, they will sell this very cleverly. They will say, well, okay, ACORN did have some problems with voter registration. We shouldn't have these third-party rogue groups out there. So let's put ACORN out of business. Let's register everybody. Now, the problem, of course, is there are a lot of duplicates. And there are a lot of people on those rolls who are illegal aliens. There are a lot of people on those rolls that are not, it's not a clean list. They don't care. So this is the issue you haven't heard about. There's a reason you haven't heard about it. They don't want you to hear about it. The path between the day this bill is introduced and the day it hits the House floor will probably be less than 2 weeks. Get ready for it. You can't stop it, don't get me wrong. But this is their stealth bill that is even more sneaky than the health care bill. Let's go to another question. Yes.
Congressman Royce and Congresswoman Bachmann, I have a hopelessly mechanical question about our opportunities for next year. What I'm concerned about is I share Ed's view that we could pick up the necessary 41 seats, but that the biggest impediment to finding and putting those candidates in those races is our own NRCC. After the debacle in New York 23, the question I have for the Congresswoman and Congressman, is there a way to circumvent the staff of the NRCC, or is there a way to fire them and replace them with people like us?
Let's begin with the debacle in New York 23. That was a situation in which the local Republican county chairman, by a one-vote margin, picked someone who basically was a Democrat, a liberal left Democrat with a Republican registration after her name as the candidate. And what we need to do is go to a primary system in the state of New York so that we, in the future, have the ability to involve the people in the Republican Party in the choice of the nominee. Now, luckily, many organizations went around the process there where the county chairman picked the candidate in a situation like this. But going forward, what we're going to do is we're going to press upon the party in New York to allow its rank-and-file Republicans to have a say in these primaries. And you'll notice when we have primaries, you'll end up with people who aren't part of the party machinery. Instead, they will reflect the will of the electorate. Second, I agree with you in terms of your conclusion. And going forward, part of the other answer I will give you is let's get involved in these county central committees so that the people who end up controlling the county central committees do not push candidates upon us like they did in New York 23.
What about a new updated contract with America which rejects earmarks and establishes a list of 10 basic values that conservatives adhere to?
Okay, I just wanted to go back to the last one and say the one thing that Republicans need to do is work to close primaries in each of the states so we don't have open primaries so that Republicans just vote for Republicans, especially in the state of New Hampshire. I think that would be very important. And by the way, don't blame me. I'm the first Republican in Congress who endorsed Hoffman out of the gate, so it wasn't my fault. And then also on updating the contract for America, we have been calling for that in the House Republicans to do that. Tell the American people the 6, 8, pick 3 things, whether 10 that we stand for. Tell the American people what it is. So you elect us, this is what you're going to get. So we've been calling for that, and we're just not there yet.
Minority Leader John Boehner is, I think, going to be speaking tomorrow morning, and I suspect that you will have a chance to have some input and that kind of message to him. I'll simply say, in this internet age, you have more power as individual voters and donors than you have ever had before.
Yeah, that's right.
And if you exercise it, you will get results. Next question.
This is addressed to Ed and Michelle. Are you willing to submerge divisive social issues like right to life and other issues like this so your message comes through loud and clear and you avoid another Republican suicide?
Well, first of all, let me begin with
That's okay.
let me begin with this point. I think that the Republican Party is made up of individualists with a lot of differing, shall we say, perspectives on a lot of issues except one, freedom. We are the party that stands against collectivism and for individual liberty. It is that principle that we have to enunciate. We have to go out and explain to the American public that 1/2 of the money that is spent this year in Washington is borrowed, and that their children and grandchildren will have to pay it back with interest. We have to go out and explain that we are the party of the entrepreneur, of the free market, and that the other political party, unfortunately, has been captured by an ideology. And frankly, that ideology now is socialism. These, in my
Pat wanted to weigh in briefly. We have just a couple minutes.
I just want to say something. And then do things like stop voting for transportation pork barrel bills that your party votes for, too. This is the point of the reason the deficit is going to be an issue. The reason they have to push this bill tonight is by the end of the year they have to raise the debt limit. If they don't, the country can't print money. That's what's in front of us, and nobody talks about it. But your party has got to stop voting, if you want to do that, for every pork barrel project that they're for.
I'm going to agree with you, Pat.
I mean, stop saying it's just the one side. The country knows better.
Pat, I'm going to agree with you, but I just want to add that that in terms of the bailouts, I voted against every one of them. Because I don't want to see the American public have their government have an equity stake in their car companies, insurance companies, banking companies. I know the kind of corruption that's going to lead to. And I used to co-chair the Porkbusters caucus with John McCain to try to knock these earmarks out. I agree with you, Pat.
Look, when I've gotten the high sign, we have to shut this down because Speaker Gingrich is waiting for us. I'll simply say one thing on the divisive social issues. You have a problem because who defines what is divisive? There are two people who may have an argument on this subject. I'm from San Francisco. I am very appreciative of the rights that many people have to have in this country, regardless of who they are. But 31 states, for example, have decided, while we may support extending rights to gay people in many areas, we don't want gay marriage. The score is 31 states to nothing. If you as a political party completely ignore the votes of 31 states, every state that has voted on this issue, you're going to create a political pent-up anger in this country that will be taken outside of the political arena and will be bad for the country. You can't ignore issues when the vote is 31 states to nothing. You have to finesse them and you have to deal with them, but you can't ignore them. That is not taking divisive issues off the table, it's putting them in the table.
Thank you.